Great. So we now come to the last session of the day. This is a panel discussion, which is being moderated by Mr. VK Raina. Of course, this is on the theme of the conference today, that is the future of the railways. While Mr. Raina would be introducing the panelists, I would like to introduce Mr. Raina, who retired from the Indian Railways in 2007 as the general manager of the Southeastern Railway. And after his retirement, his activities have actually multiplied. In particular, he has been publishing and editing the Rail Business magazine. I think most of us would have seen that Rail Business magazine that is now well recognized and patronized by the rail sector professionals in India. It has so far there have been 60 editions of the Rail Business magazine. His career positions have stretched across senior general management, manufacturing, design, and QA for locomotives, operations planning, and a 3-year stint as a railway advisor in the Embassy of India in Berlin. And the Berlin assignment gave him a long-term perspective of the rail sector, and that should enable a panoramic review of the future of the brand railways today. Mr. Raina may not remember, but he was my boss for 2 months as CPO of DLW. Over to you, Mr. Raina.
Thank you, Manojji. I do remember a lot of things about you. Mostly they are good and worth sharing. I do see my co-panelists, Dr. Manish Thapliyal and Vinay Kumar Singh, MD of the, for simplicity, let me call it Delhi Ring Railway. And I don't see Mr. Sanjeev Garg. Wait for him, but in the meanwhile, let me start the panel. The scheme for the next 40 odd minutes is simple. I'll introduce the panelist. He'll make a presentation. Mr. Thapliyal is not making a presentation because he thought it's better to respond to the discussions that I'll be leading and to answer a lot of participant questions. So we are concentrating on the presentation by Mr. Singh and then a discussion with Mr. Thapliyal. I will encourage participation in the discussions. Now about Mr. Singh. Sorry, and the call. He is the MD of the Regional Rapid Transport System in NCR, which I've already called, for want of anything better, ring, an urban passenger ring for Delhi and New Delhi. What's impressive about Mr. Singh is that he started his career, one of his earliest steps in his career was that he was an execution senior engineer in Delhi Metro when many people knew how the metro project will go on. He is now a different effort in urban transport. I say so because most of our metro projects have been cloned the Delhi Metro. The drawings have been copied. The only difference has been between BG and standard gauge, and of course the 25 kV and systems. Otherwise, everything, including station designs, the construction methods, everything is a clone. Now, Mr. Singh is a project which is not a clone of Delhi Metro, and therefore, whatever he does will have a long-term similar projects about the metro towns in India. Now, as I said, after his presentation, which will be around 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, will lead specifically on urban transport and mainly the rail-based urban transport in India, because Mr. Singh is a valuable resource for this panel. We don't get many people like him who are ex-railways, passion for railways, but are now outside the system and looking at a lot of future for urban transport. Mr. Singh, please. Can you hear me, Mr. Singh? I think you will have to unmute yourself. Can somebody from RES help me out? Anybody listening, sir?
Sir, your mic is not active. I can't see your mic.
My mic?
No, your mic is okay. Singh
Okay.
Saab's mic is. I can't see his. I mean, can you log in?
He had joined as MD NCRTC.
Yeah. Maybe you can log in from a different device.
In the meanwhile, let me again about a feature of Mr. Singh's career. For a little while, we had a company under RVNL, which was speed projects in India. That was, of course, before the National High Speed Corporation was set up, and you have heard Mr. Achal Khare. So he had a background of executing the key railway project, of course, in the vision stage and pre-planning stage. He is also been involved with, I would say, public sector units in the Ministry of Railways when he was an executive director in the Railway Board. And he's got a good knowledge of the business side of railway projects. So he is a key resource for today's discussion. And I hope he's being able to sort out his system problems. I mean, on the best day, we can be beaten by the system, like we were this morning when Mr. Seth, of all people, had a problem. And of course, in the second session, we had in which we successfully, which RES guys successfully.
I've just spoken to him. He's trying to do it again. He could
Great.
see us, but he could not speak. He could see us, but he was not getting any sound, nor was he able to hear
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
So-
We are all,
He's trying again.
we all hope that these systems work out better. And
so in the meantime, can I announce the winners of the quiz?
as long as it is me also, please do.
Okay, right, sir. So
we should also announce
This is called rent.
we also have to announce the people who are involved in making the
yes,
quiz.
you start. Yeah, you do that first.
So then you announce the quiz.
Okay, so should I do it first or you should do it?
So I'll do that and then
Okay.
I'll just end this part or you start.
Okay, so there were two people who have won the first prize by answering two questions each, and one is Vemula.Praveen and other one is Vishal. So these two people have jointly won the first prize. So Jail sir will tell what the first prize is to both of these people. And for the second prize, people who have answered only one question, Kazi Mehrab Ahmad is the one who has selected. Now, what I've done is I've made a random number generator in Excel. So I've selected from the list of people who have won the first prize and the second prize. So these are the winners. So congratulations to all of you. Jail sir, you could speak, you could tell what the first prizes are and how these people should get in touch with you. Thank you.
The first prize is a copy of the book Black Beauties by Vikas Singh, one copy of the book each, plus 1 year subscription to the Rail Enthusiast Society. In case you're already a member, then you can gift your subscription to somebody else.
Right.
Or in case you don't want to become a member and you're not in a position to, then you could gift your subscription to somebody else. The second prize, I'll give the person a choice. Does he want a copy of that book or does he want a 1 year subscription?
Okay. Right. So these people should
Now
get in touch with you.
to get
Yeah.
this, please get in touch with me. You probably have my email ID already. It is rareenthusiast2015 @gmail.com. Rareenthusiast2015 @gmail.com. In any case, we have got their email IDs. I will send emails to all of them, to both of them.
Okay, so Apu, can I now talk about the people who compiled the quiz? Hello?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Quiz is compiled by Mr. Ajay Banerjee, Rudranil Chaudhary of the Train Trackers Group, and Shouro Shanko Maji. I think he was also part of the Train Trackers Group.
Yes.
And it was this whole compilation, this screen that we had seen has been done by Apurva Bahadur, also known as Appu WDM2. And as a quiz master, I was given the privilege of asking only one question. The last question about the greatest locomotive ever on the soil of Indian Railways, the WDM2. It is open for all.
No, that is your personal opinion.
My personal, and that is true also.
No,
So,
I agree with you, but it's your personal opinion.
you are right. But what is the number of the first Alco-made diesel locomotive, WDM2 locomotive to land on Indian soil? What is,
1308. Okay. There. It's
what
already
is the
there.
number of the first diesel locomotive WDM2 made by Alco to land on Indian soil?
So KB Sankaran has already given the answer, 18041.
No, it is 18046.
The first one?
Originally, it was 18040 is the first one by the number. The first one which landed, which came here from the ship, when we first came here, was 18046. Obviously, the whole consignment was coming, but that landed here was 18046. Okay. And with this, we stopped the quiz program. And my congratulations to all the winners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Joydeep ji. I presume Mr. Singh is still sorting out his problem. Can I request Dr. Manish Thapliyal to come in the gap, and then he'll join it later. Now, about Dr. Thapliyal, he's another very unusual resource for this panel, because he's a doctorate in business administration who is leading wagon in RDSO right now. An officer from the Indian Railway Service of Mechanical Engineers. He has had his usual share of multifarious postings on the department. But we had a question about the DFC wagon development, and that is a responsibility of the Indian Railways and not of the DFC. That is, of course, available as public knowledge from the DFC commission, DFC draft report itself. Now, Dr. Thapliyal, can you tell us about wagon developments that are likely to impact on railway operations on the DFC, particularly the ore-handling wagons and the inner flats, which I presume these two will form the bulk of what DFC will use. What are the likely future years?
Sir, unmute yourself. Dr. Thapliyal, unmute yourself.
Sure, sir, and thank you so much, sir. I'll take this opportunity to make a preamble also, and then I'll dive in straight to what has been asked. A very good evening to all of you, and it's indeed my privilege and pleasure to be on the platform of the Railway Enthusiast Society. Many thanks are due to Mr. JL Singh and Mr. Vinu Mathur and all of those who have made this event happen. I'm so happy to answer this question. Actually, I had requested that taking into a presentation and not answering the specific questions will probably be giving my own point of view. As we are all aware that the DFC is in the offing, and not only the current two DFCs, but there is a proposal that we will have freight corridors all along the nation. So whatever we are not doing, we have a precedent of what China has actually shown to the world. They have done such a good job of demonstrating that rail transport, and especially for freight, is going to be the future by their intercontinental movement. That long traffic and especially those containers have been an eye opener, and it has brought the freight traffic back into the scope. So from the wagon development, we are taking care that we have to be future ready, and we have to be at least DFC ready. So what we have done is we have a wagon designed for the 25-ton axle load, which is the current maximum tonnage allowed on the DFC. We have a wagon for carrying iron ore. We call it as the Boxan S. This particular wagon has already been tested on the DFC, and Mr. Srinivas would be happy to note that it has been cleared at 100 kmph on the WDFC, which is the maximum permissible speed currently on the WDFC. We also have a wagon which is planned for iron ore. It's a side discharge wagon. We call it the BOB SNS. And this wagon is also ready. The production is underway. Currently, these wagons have a provisional speed certificate, and the prototypes are just waiting at the after this closure of these triple stack oscillation trials. We intend to try these out also on the WDFC as well as on the IR network. So these two wagons would be taking care of the iron ore as well as the coal movement on the WDFC. As and when newer requirements come up, like somebody wants only a specific wagon for iron ore, like Boy, we can have a similar design for that on the WDFC also, which will be only specific to iron ore. We have this wagon Boy, and we have this wagon at Boy EL, which is currently running in southeastern, and it's giving a good flow. As far as the container traffic goes, we have two designs of wagons. One is the container wagon, which we called as BLCS. What we have said is that wherever the alphabet S comes at the end of the wagon name, that is signifying that 25-ton thing. So we have this BLCS. It's already in operation. We operationalized it recently in the last year. So this wagon is there for the 25-ton axle load for carrying containers. We have another wagon for which prototypes are being just made ready. This is also going to be a container wagon. It's a slightly more efficient wagon in the sense that it's slightly lesser tear weight. It's on the spine car model. We have christened this as a BLSS. So this is how we are planning to meet the requirements of the DFC. And sir, if we have just time enough, I'll just like to respond to a couple of things which were done in the previous sessions, more so for the DFC, which Mr.
Please
Srinivas
do go ahead, take your time.
Yeah. So there was a lot of talk on the train on train. So when this Oxygen Express thing was being tried, when during those COVID times, there was a huge successful efforts by the IR, where we transported the LMO, that liquid medical oxygen, from various parts of the country to wherever it was required. At that point, it was felt that we need a specialized wagon for carrying such kinds of consignments, which are basically with a lower platform height. And then this TOT thing was also there. Plus, we had certain requirements, strategic requirements from the Ministry of Defense also. So these were three trigger points on the basis of which we have developed a wagon, which we call as a RoRo wagon, and which prima facie means train on train, truck on train. So this wagon is also, the design is completed. The prototypes are manufactured, and we are going to try them out very soon on the DFC as well as on the IR network. So the salient feature for this RoRo wagon is that the floor height is 975 millimeters. So as compared to the BRN wagon, it's almost a foot lower. about 300 millimeters lower. So this will enable to, at least permit 1 feet higher trucks on the IR network. What we did was we scanned through the Motor Vehicle Act. The Motor Vehicle Act has several provisions, and one provision is that for the fixed frame trucks, it specifies that the minimum length has to be 12 meters, and the longest truck is about 55 feet. So instead of having only one wagon, what we have done is we have made 4 different designs of the wagons. So one wagon will be there for carrying these rigid frame trucks. Rigid frame implies that there is no separate driving unit. The driving unit and the chassis behind is one unit. So since this is 12 meters, we have a wagon which is ready for carrying these fixed frame trucks. Then there is a huge demand for as far as what the experience of DFC has shown. Now these trucks are about 52 feet. So we have also made a design for carrying these 52 feet wagons. And then there is another design which is now ready, which is for carrying these 55 feet trucks, the longest possible truck permitted by the Motor Vehicle Act. So in this sense, we are now ready for meeting all kinds of demands for at least a truck on tree. The capacity for the loading capacity, the payload on these Ro-Ro wagons is going to be 60 tons. So that meets the highest payload of a truck, that is 57.5 tons. Actually, it is 55 tons and there is a 5% tolerance. So in that, we are now awaiting the private investment, whether people are ready to invest in these wagons. We are also waiting whether railways would like to invest in this and give it take it forward as a showcase. So all these things will, I think, come very shortly, and we expect the wagon to be online maybe in the coming 3 or 4 months, depending on that. We have had a lot of discussions with various stakeholders, the truck owners, the truck manufacturers, the logistic companies. What we have gathered is that there is a huge amount of interest in these wagons. And just to be on the safer side, we have also tweaked the design in such a manner that it is the advantages of BRN are not lost. So not only will these wagons be able to carry trucks of whatever length are required, but these will also be fit enough to carry steel coils if the need so arises. This we did because the truck manufacturers, we spoke to the truck manufacturers in the country, and they obviously have a one-way trip. The new manufactured trucks would move from their manufacturing facilities to wherever they want to go. So just to take care that on the return path, there is some opportunity, we have made the wagon in a manner that it can also carry steel coils. So in that sense, we expect that the movement in the empty direction would be minimized in this. If they are carrying trucks, obviously there are less chances for empty wagon movement. And just in case the manufacturers want to move it, and if some logistic company wants to give that give that service to them, then they can also carry steel coils.
Thank you, Dr. Tapial. I see that Mr. Singh may be available. Can you fill in us also on the progress on the auto carrier, the fly ash bulk cement traffic? Quickly, please.
Sure, sir. We have an auto carrier currently in service. It's double decker. But on interaction with the industry and the logistic partners, we gathered that now the SUVs are getting manufactured in bulk. The need now is to transport SUVs in both the lower deck as well as the upper deck. So seeing that, we have gone into for a new design which we call as Greater Height Auto Car, GHAC. So the prototype is being readied. We expect that the prototype will be ready by maybe May 31st or first week of June. We have done the design evaluation, and the prototype manufacture has been started. So with this, I think for both in the upper deck and the lower deck, we should be able to carry this the SUVs. So
I
DFC
just
would
have a supplementary question on the 25 ton. I don't know if Mr. Srinivas is still around. It's a question to both of you. 25 ton axle load, 100 kmph has been approved by MD DFC and not by Indian Railways. Now, where does it lead to? Because you have the feeder routes not able to supply 25 ton loads. And having the DFC on 25 ton is not much of a fun. So if you have any updates, please share them. Or if Mr. Srinivas is there, he can share. Then we'll go to Mr. Singh, who is now sorted out the tech problems.
Vijay, if you'll just let me clarify.
Please, sir.
Vinay Singh is the managing director of the National Capital Region Transport Corporation. Now,
I know this. I call it.
It is a
for
new
him.
feature. It is not an urban transport project. It is a regional transport project,
Okay.
which is going to link the capital region to Meerut, to Panipat, and towards Rajasthan in the south. So I think he will explain it better.
Okay.
But it's basically a regional transport system for the first time in India.
Okay. 25 ton, Manishi, if you have any update, please share before we go to Mr. Singh. Okay.
The movement of the 25 ton will obviously take place after the feeder routes are ready. But there may be certain cargo which is moving from, maybe perhaps Mr. Srinivas would be able to tell better, from the eastern DFC, maybe migrate to the western DFC. From the eastern DFC, yes, there will be more movement on the 25 ton, for this, especially with fourth pole, I believe, sir.
Sir, this 25 ton axle load wagons movement is cleared on Indian Railways at 45 kmph in the feeder routes. Until that feeder routes are brought down to DFC standard. But as of now, in the mixed traffic scenario, it is cleared at 45 kmph in Indian Railways, but in DFC, it is running at 100 kmph. Now, within DFC, whatever is originating destination in DFC, we have certain traffic streams where this is capable of running these 25 ton axle load wagons. Now, we have sanctioned and we started running BLCs of Container Corporation with 25 ton axle load possibility between Swarupganj and CMLK. So that is, it is already sanctioned, it is already on, sir.
Okay.
Similarly, we are looking at, once it is completed to Mundra port and all, maybe these will also come up. Now that is where I said feeder routes have to come up at quickly.
Okay,
Thank
great. My apologies to Mr. Singh for the rather loose and naive description of his job. But I still believe that it's a predominantly railway project, of course, project. But for those corrections, I'll hand over to Mr. Singh. You take around 20 minutes. We close with a 10-minute QA session.
Thank you very much.
I also see Mr. Sanjeev Garg. So you wait by, and we'll come to you when we do the QA. Yes, sir.
Sir, I hope now I am audible.
Yes, very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving this opportunity and this platform to speak to such a august gathering. First of all, I am very sorry that I did not link at the right time due to some technical hitch, but now things are working properly. Sir, see the...
Can you drop this third portion so that everybody is on the same wavelength?
Yes. Okay. So, seeing the things from the perspective of regional mobility, I would like to, I don't know whether I can share the presentation. I have given a presentation. If it is possible, then otherwise I'll speak.
Yeah, the RES to share the presentation. I cannot.
Absolutely no problem. Yeah.
You can share the presentation if it is with you.
No, it is not with me. I had already sent a mail, but okay, it's okay. No problem.
It's in Mr. JL Singh's mail. It should be there. Okay, please proceed.
If available with me, I'll share it.
So what is happening is, across the world, something which has happened is happening now in India also. So the earlier we had intercity commute or the very clear city boundaries. Now with the increasing urbanization, the city boundaries are mixing with each other. So rather than a very, whether it is Noida or Gurugram or Delhi, now it is a contiguous urban area in many cases, not only in NCR, but maybe there are 4 or 5 regional clusters which can very clearly identify in India. Now these regional clusters, these are the engines of economic activity. It has been seen that the economic activity in regional clusters, whether it is Mumbai, Nasik, Pune, or Mumbai, Ahmedabad, or NCR, or Hyderabad, near Hyderabad area, or Bangalore, Chennai, these regional areas are growing at much faster rate than the cities individually. And the total sum of economic activity is much more than the sum of individual economic activity of similar cities. Now in India also, can we go to the next slide, please? In India also, if we see in last 3-4 years, these regional clusters, next, yeah, this one, third, next, next please. By 2028, in India, this number is going to increase phenomenally. If we see the statistics, so the cities which were having affluent household more than 40% were only 3. Now in next 8 years or 6 years now, it will go up to 117. So these are cities which have affluent people, people who have aspirations, people who move, who have got money. Now what is happening? If we go to the next slide, please. See these regional clusters, the clusters of cities, they have very high growth rate. And this is where the railway has not provided services. Can we come to the next slide, please? So we have at national level, we have Indian Railways, we have airlines, and now we are going to have high-speed rail between Mumbai and Ahmedabad. At city level, we have well-established metro systems now. Today, Pune Metro has been inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister. So now 15 cities have developed metro systems. There are bus rapid transit systems, city buses, and at last mile, we know every city has its own last mile connectivity modes. But the regional level is an area where Indian Railways has provided some intercity trains, but these are few. These are a few trains like Shatabdi or maybe some other passenger intercity trains, but their number is very, very small, and they are not able to meet the requirement of mobility and requirement of accessibility, which is required in these regional clusters. So this is something where it is essential that people move from private vehicles to public transport, but public transport is missing. This is the area where a system like RRTS, the Regional Rapid Transit System, can fill in the gap. And at some time, around 2017, Indian Railways had a policy, they got a policy approved from the cabinet that regional trains is not the responsibility of Indian Railways. The commuter trains, it should be through joint venture arrangement between the state government and central government, because these are loss-making propositions. So this NCR Transport Corporation, which is implementing the Regional Rapid Transit System in NCR, is a joint venture of 4 state governments and central government. Next, please. Now, this particular system has planned 8 corridors around Delhi. The corridors are radially emanating from the center of the Delhi and going up to 150 kilometers deep into the adjoining states and covering almost complete NCR. Out of these 8, the first 3 corridors, that is Delhi Meerut, Delhi Panipat, and Delhi Alwar, have been taken up for implementation, out of which the work is going on presently on Delhi Meerut corridor, and work is very shortly, it will start on Delhi Alwar corridor also. Next, please. The main emphasis here is that all the corridors are interconnected, plus there has to be very, very comprehensive and seamless multimodal integration with other modes of transport, such as whether these are metro trains in Delhi or any other city like Meerut or in Gurugram. Then city bus systems, the interstate bus system, airport, Indian railway stations. So in Delhi, in the first corridor itself, we are linking Anand Vihar and Nizamuddin railway stations on Delhi Meerut corridor. The second corridor passes through Indira Gandhi International Airport. So there will be a seamless connectivity between various modes of transport once all the 3 corridors are completed, implemented, and operated. If we see within the system also, if you see, the Meerut Metro has been integrated with the RRTS system. So the metro system itself will be operated by NCRTC on the same infrastructure in Meerut. People can move from metro trains to RRTS trains on interchange stations, and then they can seamlessly move to not only Delhi Meerut corridor, but other corridors also. As you enter in Delhi, we are integrating with all lines of Delhi Metro. Means out of 7 lines, out of 8 lines, 7 lines have already been planned for integration, not only at one station, but at more than 1 stations on each line. Similarly, ISBTs, bus stations, airport, everywhere there is a seamless integration. So if there is a station which is underground of Delhi Metro, the RRTC station is also underground, and the movement of passengers is seamless from concourse to concourse. So people will not be forced to come to the street level. Rather, they can move from one system to another, whether it is elevated station or underground station. Next, please. So this system is designed for 100 km per hour. The average speed is question mark, because average speed can vary from corridor to corridor depending upon interstation distances, or maybe from service to service depending upon whether that service is a regular service or a service which is having hopping train. That means the 1 or 2 stations are being hopped or skipped. The 3 corridors are interoperable at Sarai Kaleka. Trains from one corridor can move to another. Now we are using technology seriously, not only in the cutting edge technology in the system itself, whether it is a signaling system, which is ETCS 2 level 2. And for the first time in the world, we will be going for ETCS level 2 system on LTE communication backbone. Till now, these were on GSM. But now GSM is getting obsolete and we are moving to LTE. World is moving, but we may be the first to commission the LTE's backbone with ETCS2. And the track The track for the first time in the country, we adopted a precast slab type track, which is generally used for very high speed trains up to 350 km per hour. But we have customized this design for our system, and now we can design and construct within the country this kind of track. Already the track laying is going on Delhi Meerut corridor. The PSD, the platform screen doors also. Presently, these were being imported, but we took it upon ourselves to develop the PSD doors in joint venture with the BEL. And now this door has been developed and safety certification has been adopted. On the first corridor itself, we are going to commission doors on one station which are developed by us. During the project implementation itself, we are using technology in terms of building information modeling, GIS, and a software which we have developed internally with our own IT team, in-house developed speed monitoring system. Now this particular project monitoring system has been adopted by other infrastructure organizations. And now this is being examined by DA to be utilized on all NIP projects in the country. So a lot of technological innovation is going on. It would be a good idea if some of the rail enthusiasts, if they want to come, we'll be happy to organize your visits to our sites, showcase how the project is happening and how we are able to control the completion period of the project. I'm happy to tell you that the project which was sanctioned in less than 3 years back, now this year itself, we may commission the first section, the priority section of the project. A new...
Mr. Singh, 4 minutes more.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, next, please. The focus of this particular discussion, I thought, should be on providing regional commuter trains, which we can integrate the complete regions and make them in many of economic change, which is required in the country. Because presently, this is one sector for intercity travel about 150 to 250 kilometers, which is presently being the major mode of transport is private cars, and public transport is missing, especially at the borders of the states where the state transport buses they change, and you have to there is no seamless interstate bus services across more than 2 states, and that creates a lot of complication in terms of availability of mobility. So I would like to close it here only, honoring the time which has been allotted to me, but I'll be happy to reply to questions from the audience.
Thank you, Vinayji. I'll come back to you with a few questions, but let me get in you, Garg, who to me is more than a railwayman, because today I see that his interests are more into logistics and the overall span. He's got a good view of logistics sector. Sanjeev, of